everyone. Jakey here with YHS on Monster Island, and thank you for joining me for another installment of SOFUBI Stress. And on this week's episode, we are going to talk about a piece that is near and dear to my heart. And though it might not be the piece that started me down this path of SOFUBI collecting, it definitely is one that solidified my love and passion for it. So hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I do. It might not be the most popular piece in the world, but it's important to me. So bear with me. But before we go on to that, thank you for watching SOFUBI Stress, but please, I encourage you also to go check out YHS on Monster Island with myself and the tattooed titan of Tokusatsu, Mr. Jacob Walsh. We're having a blast doing that show, talking about everything across the kaiju landscape, from films to collectibles and just the fandom in general. And it is just so fun, and we do appreciate everybody that's already listening. Leave some reviews, leave some ratings. It's really, really, really meaningful to us. Thank you so much in advance. But of course, don't stop there, because we are just a tiny sliver in this greater YHS universe, the Yes Have Some network. And of course, it all starts with YHS Prime, Yes Have Some Prime. That's the mothership, if you will, the epicenter of this crazy world, hosted by Craig Goldberg, Abigail Gardner, and Jacob Walsh. And they're talking geek culture, pop culture, everything from Jaws to Ghostbusters to Jurassic Park. They're going to cover it. It's just one of the best shows around. And then, of course, the hit sensation, Toy Anxiety, on YouTube every Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, with Craig, Abby, and Jake, but also Ryan Dole, Academy Award-winning Ryan Dole, and they're talking toys and changing the toy collecting landscape as we know it. That show is appointment viewing. Don't miss it. And The Bad Bitches is another great property from YHS, hosted by Abigail Gardner, joined by Kat Hansen and Ryan Dole, talking Star Wars. And that show is on YouTube. Super fun. And of course, there's always YHS Group Therapy on Facebook. If you aren't joining that, go out and do that right now. More than any of these, because that is the community that is built up around this, this triumvirate of, podcasting pioneers, if you will, in Craig, Jake, and Abby. And it is one of the most inviting, wonderful places to go. And you can talk kaiju there. We can chat Godzilla, or you can talk Marvel. You can talk DC. You can talk about anything that you want. It's great. YHS Group Therapy. Yes, have some group therapy. And of course, join them on Patreon as well. That's the best way to contribute to this channel and make it grow. It's super important. And there's some really, really cool content, watch-alongs with the big three, if you will, and some other just really great stuff. So check it out. The Yes Have Some network, the YHS universe. It's just, I can't miss. And once again, very proud myself. I'm very proud to be part of it. And so let's get to SOFUBI Stress, and let's get to our discussion, our review of this unique little piece that really means a ton to me. So let's talk about this piece that's near and dear to my heart. So the year's 2004, 2005-ish, a little cloudy on the specific release date, but the retailer Princess Street in Japan, the Princess Street stores, had an exclusive Marusan, modern Marusan. We'll talk about vintage Marusan in a second. Gorosaurus that came out. So here he is, Gorosaurus. This is a Tomei, or a clear translucent vinyl with the blue and the red, painted on the inside of the vinyl. It almost looks like it's floating inside the piece, which is so cool. This right here is just, like I said, when I saw it, it was everything that I loved about SOFUBI. It was this older sculpt, so it had this look and feel, at least from a sculpt standpoint, of one of the late 60s, early 70s. In fact, this is the actual 1967 Marusan sculpt of Gorosaurus. So, we think vintage, we always think Marusan, and then when that went out of business and from its ashes, Bullmark was one of the ones that came. So we talk a lot about the Bullmark vintage sculpts as well. But this is 67, so this is still in Marusan before they went bankrupt in 69. And it is just a gorgeous sculpt. It's weird and wacky. Like it looks like Gorosaurus, but also looks, not as imposing as he does. And so, I don't know, there's something about that. It's so charming. And you see that in all the sculpts of that era. Now, originally the Marusan in the late 60s, there's only 5 Godzilla kaiju, if you will, that were created. 6, I guess, if you count King Kong, giant gorilla. But, it was mostly ultra kaiju. And then in Bullmark, that's when you get kind of the classic the bull mark Godzilla that we see in Godzilla versus Hedorah, and then King Ghidorah and Anguirus and all those Hedorah and a lot of those bull mark sculpts that we really, really love. But if you think about Marusan, Gorosaurus and Giant Gorilla kind of came out as part of 1967's King Kong Escapes, right? Then you have Ebra was released, and Minya, and so you have Sea Monster and Son of Godzilla, and then you have that classic Marusan Godzilla sculpt as well, and Baragon with Frankenstein Conquers the World there. So you don't have, is that everybody? Did I remember everybody? Godzilla, Baragon, Minya, Gorosaurus, Ebra. Yeah, that's it. And then King Kong there. So anyway, not a lot coming Marusan, but this was one of those original sculpts. In fact, just to show you how accurate it is, here is a 1967 original vintage Gorosaurus Marusan sculpt. As you can see here, they are identical. They're about 8.25 inches tall. You might see them sometimes listed as 9. They're a little bit smaller than that, but about 8.5 inches tall. But they're not small by any means. A good standard size vinyl piece here, if you will. But this is one of the original vintage sculpts. So the exact same here in this modern Marusan interpretation. So throughout, I think it was probably 04 to 06, they released a few different variations of this guy. So you had this one, which was the Princess Street. And I've seen this called French inspired. I've heard it called the France version. I get why with the red, white, and the blue there. I totally get that, but I don't know why this was necessarily inspired by France. Maybe somebody does. Maybe somebody at Princess Street had French origins. I have no idea. So I would love to understand that. I've done a lot of research on this piece, and I can't find the answer to that. So there you go. So that, like I said, the red, white, and blue, the French version, but also they released some really cool ones, including my other favorite, the other one that I have from this kind of Marusan era, and that is this guy right here. Once again, same sculpt, this glow in the dark version. You see the little silver belly here and then some blue streaks there, but it's definitely the glow in the dark and the clear Princess Street were my favorite. But they also had some additional ones as well, including one that kind of mirrored more the traditional vintage look, which was the flesh belly, as we call it here as SOFUBI collectors, but it was more the kind of the bluish, the green with the flesh tone belly, which was the main release here. Then you had a very rare, and I don't have this, I haven't seen this out and about in my collecting. If I do, I will jump on it, but it's the translucent green vinyl version of this. It was a lucky bag. I believe only 30 or 40 were ever produced. So translucent vinyl Gorosaurus from that 2004 era, really, really hard to find. And then they also released a black and a blue. So it's black vinyl with blue streaks and blue accents. It's a really cool piece as well. I would love to have that one. But all 5 of these versions that they released were really, really cool. And like I said, I would love to own that translucent green vinyl one. It's a rare one. But, the Princess Street one here, not super common. Less than 100 of these were produced. And it was only, as the name suggests, it was only in one store. This Princess Street retailer sold these. And so it's not a super common one to find. You do, every now and then you can find it. But, as we do on here, let's analyze this. Let me tell you my thoughts based on our 4 S's. So number 1, of course, is subject. I still think it's the most important because if it's something I don't like, it's less likely that I'm going to ever pick it up. They're really going to have to excel in the other 3 areas. And of course, the subject is Gorosaurus. He's one of my favorite kaiju. I love Gorosaurus. The kangaroo kick, amazing. His unheralded work in Destroy All Monsters. I mean, he was like an unsung hero there. He really did some damage. He's just one of my favorites. His fight with King Kong in King Kong Escapes, I actually think was one of the better kaiju fights that we've seen from Toho, even in the golden era of Toho. Really great stuff. He's one of my favorites. I always will try to pick up something Gorosaurus. He's right up there with Titanosaurus and Anguirus, and of course Godzilla as my favorite kaiju. So I really do dig him. So right there, right off the bat, kind of like when we talked about Gezera in the last review, it's going to catch my eye. It's going to be something that I want to at least consider for purchase. Then second is the sculpt. And we've already talked about this. I find charm. I love the classic Marusan and Bull Mark sculpts. There's something about them. They're close enough aspect to on screen. They're, the soft edges, the round edges, just kind of the early origins of soft vinyl kaiju there's something, like I said, it's a little bit of a time machine. And I wouldn't say it's nostalgia because it's before my time, but it is that retro feel that makes it, I don't know, enduring. It survived the test of time, this sculpt has. And specifically, I really do like the Gorosaurus sculpt here. In fact, I have, like I said, a couple pieces. This is one of my favorites. So the sculpt to me is an A+. It's something that I really do like. And then scheme. I'll be honest, the scheme is really what attracted me to this. I am a sucker for clear or crystal vinyl or translucent, whatever you want to call it. I'm a sucker for it. The Tomei look. This is one of my favorites. I love the red, white, and blue works well together, or excuse me, the red, clear, and blue works well together. And I do feel that this is just a really cool and unique paint job. I haven't seen this paint job apply to the style to a lot of other Kaiju and other releases. So I think there's that unique quality as well. So the scheme was just, I think it's the most important thing, or the best thing about this one is just this colorway. It is gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. And like I said, I'm always a sucker for clear vinyl anyway. So this one was an easy sell. And then last but not least, Scarcity. There could have been a million of these produced. I don't care. I still love it. But there's still only 100. They're about. We don't really know. But about 100 were produced. It adds to the allure. But at the end of the day, it's not even in the top 500 things I care about with this. Like I said, this could have been mass produced. We could have picked it up at Dollar General, and I would have bought this for whatever cost it was. I just love it. It is one of my favorite, truly one of my favorite pieces that I own. And it has personal significance to me just because, like I said, it was so crucial in really solidifying my love of SOFUBI. So I don't know. I love it. I dig it. And, it passes all 4 S's for me, even though Scarcity doesn't mean a whole lot. So I love it. And so what would somebody pay to get a Princess Street Gorosaurus from Marusan? To be honest with you, it's really about finding one because there's not a ton of them out there. I've seen about 2 or 3 in kind of my collecting days that I've actually seen and had the opportunity to bid on or try to bid on or whatever. So it is one that, it's really worth how long are you willing to wait, right? So if you're okay to wait a couple years and you're okay living without it, don't overpay for it. But if you are, most likely this guy's going to be anywhere between probably like 150 to 225 in that range, I think is probably what you're going to pay for him. If you can find it in good quality lower than that, jump on it because it's not going to get any cheaper than that. So I would say that my gut is like 175 to 190 is probably where you're going to most likely see it. If I had to narrow down that range a little bit, I would be if I didn't own it, I would probably buy it up until like 225. After that, I think I could wait maybe. But that's really what you're probably going to pay for this guy. I hope you find it for $70. I really do. And you might. But like I said, in decent condition, these guys, especially as everybody knows, the legs on this Gorosaurus sculpt tend to go in a little bit and get a little wonky. It's a little tricky to find them always in great condition. But if you can, that's what I would pay. And like I said, if I put this on the site today, I would probably start it around that 175 to 190 range. I think that's a fair price for this just because there's only 100 of them out there in existence and it's Gorosaurus. And it's, was exclusive to a single store. There's a lot of cool things going for it. I think that's a fair price. Anything more than that, once again, like I said, it's up to you. It's your personal decision. But I think you probably could hold out and wait to find something a little bit better price. So that would be my kind of value I placed on it. But overall, I love this piece, and it is truly important to me. Go out, find you one of these, put it on the shelf, and I promise you, your eye will always go to it, and you'll be like, I'm glad that I saw this on SOFUBI Stress, and I'm glad that I bought it, and I'm glad that it's on my shelf, and I'm glad that it is the signature piece in my collection. Love this guy. He's wonderful, but don't stop there. You can always buy more Gorosauruses. They are the best. They are just, I love them. They're wonderful. So anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is this 2005, maybe 2004. We don't really know. Princess Street, Marusan, release of Gorosaurus, the French-inspired, potentially?
Bonjour.
I don't know, but it's the Tomei, it's the clear, it's translucent, and it is one of a kind. So I'm Jay Key. Check out YJS on Monster Island. I'll catch you next time. Adios, everybody.